Hi, my friends. Leo Babauta here from Zen Habits, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the magical power of focus. Now, most of us are not good at focus. It's a skill that has to be practiced and trained, and yet the way that our brains are trained by technology and our work and the world around us, media, social media, TV, everything, is that we are not focused. We distract ourselves. We procrastinate. We avoid. We make it okay to do all of that kind of stuff and rationalize it. We go to quick things, easy things, comfortable things. And this is what our lives are like. And so that is the default. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what happens if we train the magical power of focus and how to actually do that. Before I dive into that, I'd love to ask you if you could take 10 seconds to post a comment about what you would like to see in this channel. Right now, I'm talking about focus. We'll talk about productivity. We'll talk about tools. We'll talk about habits. We'll talk about mindfulness and relationships and resistance and all of these amazing things. But I'd love to hear your specific questions and topics. So please post a comment, and I promise you I will read every single one and take them all seriously. Okay, so let's talk about what happens when we focus, what gets in the way of focus, and then how to actually train ourselves, set ourselves up for success. So when we are actually able to focus, something magical happens. Things start to happen. Things start to move in our lives. So, for example, if we are switching back and forth around a bunch of different things, this is how we normally do things. Distractions, messages, tasks, small tasks, little things here, emails, all of these things. We are dividing up our attention, and little things happen. It's like sprinkling our magic out into the world, and little things do happen, but it's scattered. It takes away our power. And the things that we care most about, we tend to resist. And so if we actually focus, put ourselves into one thing at a time, it doesn't mean that we can't do multiple things, but right now it's just one thing. Something will start to move. We will start to have an impact. Things that have been stuck for a long time actually start to become unstuck. We start to become on top of our tasks instead of feeling constantly behind. We might still feel overwhelmed, but when we are focusing, we can start to feel a sense of calm and peace and ability to pour ourselves, to vote ourselves to something. This is magical. And the impact that we have in the world is closer to what we really want to have. If we could leave this life having accomplished something, that is what is most meaningful besides our relationships and finding ways to be happy. Having an impact on the world, some kind of accomplishment that we really want to have, whether it's I just want to be there and support my family or be out in my community or help people who are in need or change the world in some way or express myself creatively and let others enjoy that. So these are things that we might want to do by the end of our lives. When we start to focus, we start to have that impact. And that's what we are shooting for. Now, I'm not saying it's the only thing that matters. Like I said, relationships matter. Our health matters. Finding ways to find joy and wonder in the world, adventure, these things matter. But in the end, one of the things that will matter most on your deathbed and in this life is having the impact that you are committed to having. Something that feels meaningful to you, not just churning through endless tasks and messages, not just scrolling down in your phone all day long. Those are not that meaningful and they're not that impactful. So the magical power of focus is to actually have the impact that we are shooting for. Now, it's not going to necessarily be exactly what we were hoping for. We have to let go of some attachment, but we will start to have much more of that meaningful impact that we want. And that is magical. We start to move through our day in a different way. And it's honestly, I actually do think it's magical. I can't explain it. So, what gets in the way of that? What gets in the way, first of all, is just mental habits. We are trained, again, social media, messages, emails, TV, whatever you grew up with, trained us. And then whatever you've been using lately also trained us. So as we're growing up, maybe you played video games, maybe you watched TV, maybe you were born in the internet age and were online a lot. You were on MySpace and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Minecraft and all of these amazing things, right? So maybe you're doing all of that. Maybe you were on Instagram scrolling all day. Maybe now you're on TikTok. All of these amazing apps are training our minds to be in short attention span. It's the opposite of focus. And the same thing with work. We are trained to answer a bunch of messages and emails, do a bunch of little tasks so that we don't drop things, but we're not really trained to really focus. We might have had periods where we were able to do that, but in general, our mental habits are to go to things that are easier, quicker, more urgent, things that we feel more anxiety about, not something that has long-term impact and importance, not something that takes some focus. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have that. You're able to watch this video for this many minutes, so you have some ability to focus. The people who have zero focus, they haven't gotten this far in the video. They left already. But you actually have some focus. So it's not that you have none, but the way that the world is training our brains, our mental habits, means that we have a habit of moving away from things. So congratulations for getting this far. If you stick around to the end, I promise you it'll actually increase your focus and impact. So that's probably the main thing that gets in the way. But another one is resistance and uncertainty and discomfort. So if you are resisting something, it's because there's something about this task that's stressful to you. We tend to not focus on the harder or more impactful tasks because they have some discomfort, some uncertainty. We don't know how it's going to turn out. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe people will judge me. Maybe I'm going to look like an idiot. So these things inherently have some uncertainty, and therefore they have resistance and some stress and some overwhelm. And when that happens, we tend to move away from it. That's just a natural human brain kind of thing. We don't want to feel discomfort. We don't want to feel uncertainty. And so we move away from it and go to something that feels easier, more comfortable. Maybe it's a comfort kind of thing like food or TV or social media, alcohol, drugs, porn, all of these things that comfort us. Nothing wrong with any of these things. They're not bad, but we can see as they move us towards comfort and away from discomfort. And that's how our minds get trained. So that's what gets in the way. I also think the environment that we're in is set up for distraction and a lack of focus. And the environment matters more than we think. We think we should be like mentally tough and be able to do everything. But that's actually not the case. The environment matters. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before I talk about some specific things you can do with your environment, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest things I learned about habit change when I changed my first habit 17 years ago. Actually, it was 19 years ago. So 19 years ago, I was trying to quit smoking. And I kept failing, and I couldn't figure out why. What I realized is the environment that I was in was set up to have me fail. There were cigarettes nearby, and I can just quickly get it whenever I wanted to. And so I said I was going to quit, but there was a cigarette there. And plus, I was stressed. And plus, other people around me were smoking. And plus, there was like no commitment, no accountability, no nothing. So what I had to do was set up a moat, which is I had to get over something in order to get to the thing that I didn't want to do. So I got rid of all the cigarettes. I would have had to, go to the store to get it. So that's, 10 minutes to get the thing. Gives me some time to cool off when I have an urge. I told people I wasn't going to do it. I made a promise to my wife and daughter. I made a promise to others on the internet, and I held myself accountable. And I even said, I will call an accountability buddy before I smoke or post on this forum before I smoke. So I had some things that I had to do before I smoked a single cigarette. And those were a moat. I stopped hanging around with people who were smoking for a little while. So I used to go out and just like smoke with people outside on a break at work. I stopped doing that. Even when I was quitting smoking, I would go and hang with them, but it was right there in my face. And so I stopped doing that and I found something else to do. These are some examples of ways that I changed my environment in order to change make it easier to actually change the thing I wanted to change. So for focus, how do we do that? Well, we want to change our environment. So some of the ones that I'm going to mention you already know about. So these are distraction blockers, focus type things, whether it's in your browser, some kind of extension like a Chrome extension to block things, stay focused and freedom, and these kinds of distraction blockers are good ones. On your phone, you can set up a focus mode so that you don't get any notifications. You can use screen time if you're using the iPhone. I don't know how Androids work, so I apologize. But you can use the screen time settings on your app to block certain on your phone to block certain apps, or even better, put your phone into airplane mode and put it somewhere away from you. I've had times where my phone was a distraction, and I would give my phone to someone else and say, "Don't give this back to me until whatever o'clock." So phones, distractions on the internet, do whatever you can to make it really hard. If you find yourself disabling these apps on your computer, make it password protected and give the password to someone else so that you don't have it. And they have to enter it in. It'll work. Promise. I promise you. What else? So setting up a focus session. If you join my Fearless Living Academy, which is a monthly membership thing, we have regular focus sessions just about every day where you can come on and be on Zoom and then say what you're going to focus on and then actually focus. So this is a built-in feature to Fearless Living Academy, but somehow set it up so that when you are going to focus, you're going to focus and you're training yourself. I also highly encourage you to make a commitment to what I'm going to focus on this week. And then what am I going to focus on today? And commit to others. We do this again in my Fearless Living Academy, which is actually a great place to train yourself to focus. We have courses on this. I have a thing called Mindful Focus course and some other video courses that I've created, but also a monthly challenge. We have a monthly webinar call. We have focus sessions, and we have accountability in the community. So these are things that are meant to help you to train yourself to focus. If you don't use FLA, Fearless Living Academy, create these things on your own. Use apps, use focus sessions, use other people and accountability, commitments on a weekly and a daily basis so that you are actually making your environment set up so that you will train yourself to focus. I also really like Pomodoros, which are 25 minutes of focus, 5 minutes of break, and then repeat. You can do 2 or 3 or 4 Pomodoros in a row. I've done them with my kids who are teenagers. Now my youngest is 18 years old. So we were like, oh, let's do Pomodoros together. And we'll sit down, we'll do it together right next to each other on the couch on our computers. We'll set a timer, we'll go, and we'll each work on what we're going to work on. She's studying, I'm writing, something like that. So these are ways to set yourself up for success. The way the world is set up right now, if you do not change your environment, you are setting yourself up for failure. If you want to actually access the magical power of focus, what you need to do is set your environment up. Come into Fearless Living Academy and do it with us, or set it up on your own. But whatever you do, set yourself up for success and create the magical power of focus. Thanks, everybody. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe for future content that I'm going to create, and share this with people. If people want some Zen habits in their lives, send this to them. This particular video, I think, would actually be a great one to share. Thanks, my friends.